acknowledge thee as my God and Prince. I promise to serve and obey thee as long as I shall live.
This week, we watched 1977's nude nun movie,
I promise thee
Alucarda.
evil as I can. I will draw everyone else to evil. I won't fail to serve and adore thee. I give you my life and my soul.
Follow my Patreon.
Oh,
are we done?
No, it keeps going. Oh, shit.
No.
Stabby, stabby.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stabby Stabby, the podcast where we find old exploitation, horror, weirdo, trippy, experimental pornography movies and watch them and break them down scene by scene while sipping a beer. I'm one of your hosts, Dan, and today I'm drinking Root Down Brewing Company's Dippy Eggs. It's an imperial breakfast stout, and it's 10.5%. And the label art is, I don't know, it's fine. It's just like a simple drawing of a plate of eggs. It's not that
kind of
great.
egg?
I'm not
What
gonna lie.
style?
The beer's good.
How are the eggs
Oh,
cooked?
it's sunny side up with a wet yolk, so you can dip like French toast into the
Oh,
wet
yeah.
yolk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's dippy eggs.
Man, I love
Yeah,
dippy
that
eggs.
makes
Me
sense.
too. Greg, was that a Greg?
Oh, yeah, baby. Hey, I'm Greg, and I'm drinking a Rebel Hill Brewing Cutting Teeth Milk Stout with
Ooh.
toasted coconut and vanilla beans. 6%. And don't tell anyone, but I drank a Bleed Green beforehand. So,
Hey, representation.
yeah. How about you, Eric? What are you drinking?
I am drinking a half-acre double daisy cutter, double pale ale, and it's got like a drawing of a bunch of wet daisies.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. You know, it's cool. Half acres, at least the label on this, it's like an owl head with tentacles around it. It's very Lovecraftian.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
I love
cool.
that.
Like
Yeah,
a circle.
I think that's my sleep paralysis demon.
I feel like with my drippy eggs beer and Greg's milk beer and your flour beer, we're like drinking your complete breakfast,
Yeah.
complete with the little
it's true.
vase of daisies. Yeah.
I like it.
Speaking of a complete breakfast, this movie was a meal. There's a lot in this meal.
Had a little bit of everything.
I was digging around trying to find a movie for us to watch this week, and when I read the description of Alucarda, I read words like lesbian, vampire, sacrilegious, Satan-worshipping convent, and I got very excited. So I was pumped to watch this, but apparently we'd seen this before. When did we see this before?
Yeah, I showed it at my second 12-hour movie marathon. I think it was only like movie 2 of the day. So,
Oh, really?
You don't remember it? Yeah, it was
Man.
pretty early.
Well, I do start drinking pretty early on your movie marathon days.
Yeah, that movie would have been at like around 11:30 in
Gotcha.
the morning. So,
Yeah.
Well,
I
I'm
had-
really pumped we watch it again. Sorry, what was that?
I had convinced myself it was like movie 10 or something, that we were all like tuned up and talking over it. You know.
nah, it was definitely first half of the day.
Oh, I
but
believe
yeah.
you. I believe you.
Well, I'm glad we watched it again because I feel like I got a lot out of it, and I'm excited to hear Greg try to describe this movie's plot.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe you'll
uh,
explain
hey-
some things for me.
yeah. Half my notes are just the word bush.
That's awesome. All right, why don't we dive into this plot's bush? Let's do it.
Ooh, let's do it.
Now let's get to the plot.
So, 1977's Alucarda, directed by Juan Moctezuma, opens up on an old, dilapidated building in the woods with the sounds of a baby crying. We see an old weirdo give the baby to the mother, who wants the baby taken to a convent. Suddenly, we hear some creepy sounds, and the mother is terrified. And then we cut to the opening credits, which consists of a lot of the same picture of like the devil, just like sliced different ways, kind of, but with the names and everything kind of filling in the gaps. pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, this is the second movie that we've had with like kind of a witchy midwife character. What was the Runaway Train movie with our old hag soup maker?
Oh, that kind of runaway. Beyond the Door 3.
Yeah, thank you. It reminded me of her.
At first, I thought you meant Runaway Nightmare.
Oh, whatever
I
it was.
don't think there was a train there. No. It was Beyond the Door 3. Runaway Nightmare was about worm farmers.
No. I'm thinking about the one with the demon train.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The witchy midwife here reminded me of the little old lady that makes soup. And either way, I love them. I think I just like the trope of a witchy midwife. That's nice.
I think you want a gross, just like dirty person just giving you soup.
Yeah, I subscribe to onlyhags.com.
Just hanging around the house.
Yeah.
Oh, don't mind her. That's Dan's hag.
That's what she prefers to be called. Yeah. I don't actually know her name, but I know what her soup tastes like. It's delicious.
Eye of newt. Wing of bat.
A bit of salt for flavor.
Well, we love Dan's old hag or whatever her name was.
You got nothing else.
We were so sorry to hear about your parents' death. We've been expecting you for several days now. Come along this way.
Come on!
So from there, we cut to a young girl, Justine, who is being dropped off at the convent. And by young girl, she's probably like 25 in this movie, I assume playing like a 15-year-old.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Her parents have just died, and she'll be living at the convent now. There is a doctor there, Dr. Osek. He's picking up his blind daughter. I guess he sent her to the convent as like summer school or like a summer camp.
the guy's daughter that he was picking up, look, she had like a 50,000-foot stare.
She was blind.
Oh, was she? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, blind people. She looked like she had PTSD, and the way he was like, oh, she can't wait to come back next year, but she wasn't smiling or anything. She was just staring off at the horizon. And I thought that she'd seen some shit, but apparently she has not seen shit. She is blind. You're right.
Yeah,
I like the
I don't know if they tell us she's blind at that moment, but it's kind of obvious.
That is
and also,
Daniela.
we do learn it later in the movie.
Yeah.
You're right.
Also like a summer camp with nuns. That sounds pretty good.
Pretty awesome.
Eric's
yeah.
like, sign me up. just a bunch of like 12-year-olds and then Eric.
He's playing kickball with nuns, swimming, basket weaving.
I mean, this is our first nun movie, so I can't believe it's taken us this long to get there. But
We talk a lot about nuns. We just haven't watched one on here yet.
yeah, we don't really like bring too much of our fetishes to the show.
Wait, we don't? I kind of thought that's what
do.
every episode was.
I thought that's what
Yeah.
feed was.
Oh, that's true. All right, well, I'm gonna move on from there.
Oh, did you mention that the nuns are wearing like blood-soaked habits?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that per se. Like that's common, because it's kind of like white, what looks to be like bandage.
Yeah, it looks like
material.
gauze. Yeah.
Gauze, yeah. And I guess because we do see them like flogging themselves or getting flogged later in the movie. So is that blood or is it like okay?
Yeah,
It looks
it's
like
that.
blood.
It's like dried blood for sure. It's like pink. Yeah, they look like mummy. Like they're cosplaying as mummies or like
They're
giant
mummies.
giant tampons or something.
Yes. Well, most of the blood was like right in their crotch area. So
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
read that as something to do with like menstrual blood. For
Oh
sure.
god. Oh yeah. Later on, when they're all bleeding. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very
Yeah.
specific where it's coming from. Yeah.
All right, so Justine is shown to her room, which she'll be sharing with Alucarda. Alucarda, she's an interesting girl.
She's a manic dream pixie. What nun? I guess. What's the
Yeah.
name of like a
Yeah.
young girl that just lives at a convent?
Like a
nun
convent
trainee.
rat.
Yeah, convent rat. Yeah, you got it. That's the one.
But Alucarda says that she loves secrets, and she's very excited about secrets. And she and Justine just immediately become best friends forever.
Hello. I'm Alucarda.
My name is Justine.
What's that? My mother and my father. Mama just died.
I never met my mother or my father.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have something to show you, too. These are things I never show anyone. These are secrets. Every day I find a new secret. It just happens. It comes to me. This, for instance. It means I like you.
Yeah, she's like, here are my secrets. I never
And
shared
this.
these with anyone. Immediately after meeting her. It's like, slow your roll a little bit.
Well, so there are a couple of plot descriptions for this movie floating around, and some of them reference Alucarda as being a imaginary friend, and other ones mention Alucarda as just being her roommate. So I certainly in the opening of this movie, when she's like she shows her like two ticks in the garden, and she's like, they're mirror images of one another, like you and I. Like that definitely implies that we're seeing like a metaphor, like this. She's a mirror. Maybe she's like Justine's like wild side that the church is there to tame, and we're just seeing it personified in somebody else. But throughout the movie, people interact with both of these girls, and they reference each of the girls by name. So I don't understand how she is imaginary. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, that would be cool if it was like a Fight Club thing or something, but
Yeah.
I think they kind of abandoned it if they were going after it. Although when Alucarda first shows up, she like appears from the shadows. Like she just kind of, she's not in the room initially when Justine walks in.
You're right.
And then her back is facing her. It almost looks like it's in a mirror. And then she like comes out of the wall. So that kind of plays into that, but then it seems like she's a normal person after that.
And there's no other way to make sense of like one. I feel like they met in the morning, and then by that afternoon, they're like professing their love to each other.
Oh God, yeah.
So, yeah,
Real
that,
fast.
I mean that would explain that like they're literally the same person, and this is Justine. I don't know, cloistered away, no parents anymore. Her parents died, so she's all on her own for the first time, and now she's confronting her wild side. There's nothing holding her back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because nothing lets you just let loose like going to live at a convent.
Did you know those nuns are just doing drugs, getting drunk? Those are big walls to hide behind. Anything can go on. That's fine. What happens in the convent stays in the convent.
That's what I've always said. That's what I've told every nun that I've ever met. All right, so as Justine and Alucarda are frolicking in the woods together, they talk about death, and they also meet a creepy hunchback gypsy.
Yeah! a German gypsy. Hans.
Well, what have we here? Merveilleuse Kreatur, schöne die schönsten Jungensfrau, charmante fille de la nuit. Mes compliments, kleine Mädchen. Would you like to see... Oh, please, don't be afraid of me. I was just in the middle of an interesting game. Would you like to know what it is?
I think we should start back.
Would you like to know some people's secrets? Or would you like to buy an amulet? A very effective charm against demons. Demons, which are running around like wolves in these woods.
He takes them to his camp, where another...
Oh, sorry.
He's a dirt farmer.
Yeah, my note was dirty hippie troll hunchback. Because he had like shit all over his face, too.
Yeah.
Bad teeth.
You look like he smelled, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, that's why he's just outside. So a little bit more room for it to waft around. The gypsy hunchback takes them to his camp, where another gypsy sees darkness in Justine's like palm wrinkles. What is it? Where you read palms?
Yeah.
And Alucarda steals a magic knife that the hunchback gypsy tells her was made from the tears of a gypsy girl. And Alucarda kind of gets scared, and she steals the knife and she runs off.
Yeah, he claimed to be an alchemist, that he was able to transform things into other things and like imbue them with spiritual power. So she got a pretty nice knife from him, actually.
Yeah.
Honestly, he didn't seem to mind either. She just ran off, and he was like, "All right, I'll see ya."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh,
enjoy your knife."
Did I offend you?
Yeah, and it just shits his pants.
Yeah, he like immediately offers her like a demon amulet charm. She's like, nah, but I'll take that gypsy tear knife off your hands.
No problem.
Yep. So they run off further into the woods, and they come across the dilapidated kind of ruins that, from earlier in the movie. Alucarda mentions that it feels very familiar to her, and Justine is scared to be there.
Are you afraid? But Justine, this is simply beautiful. Come.
They end up going in, and Alucarda says that she wants Justine and her to die together, and that she's in love with Justine.
Jeez.
They make a pact to leave the world together when they die, and they end up opening a coffin. They see the decaying body of whoever's in there, and all the creepy sounds from earlier, from the first scene, kind of come back. Alucarda kind of goes mad, and she runs off into the woods. Justine kind of comforts her, and they head back to the convent together.
They read the markings on the casket, and they say, oh, it's a young girl who died at the same age that we are now. So I guess it was like seeing themselves dead, and it freaked them out. Also,
that
like
what it
demon
was?
voices. Demon voices also freaked him out.
I took it from the... I thought she died 15 years ago, and they were 15 years old. That's what I took it as.
Lucy Westerner died in 1850. 15 years ago, Justine. Our age. Let's swear by her. I'm afraid, Alucarda.
Because I think that's Alucarda's mother.
Oh, you think so?
Because I assume Alucarda is the baby from the beginning.
Or it could have been Justine.
Well, Alucarda, I think, has just lived at the convent. Always. Justine just got to the convent.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And Alucarda never knew her parents.
So then these
We
are
learn that
not
later.
these are not the same person.
I don't think they're the same person.
They seem to stand in for elements that complement each other, but they're not the same person. Like Alucarda's always, she's death obsessed. She talks about death in just about every scene. She's brash. She's fast to fall in love. She's always dressed in all black. And Justine is like timid and worried about everything. She's very much acting on like self-preservation, so I guess resistant to death. And she's always in white with like blood red frills. Yeah, I guess I'm just saying that because like thematically, even visually, these two characters are like intertwined a lot, it seems.
But yeah, I mean, if you look at it from the idea of like a light aspect and a dark aspect, that will certainly come into play later.
Oh yeah.
Also
worth saying, while I'm talking about visuals, the sets in this movie are goddamn incredible. They are freaking awesome. And I think at this scene, when they go back to the convent, you get a good shot of the interior of the church. And whew, took my breath away. Loved it. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the church itself is like a cave.
Yeah.
Like this old, like Dark Ages cave. And everything has like this rich, like painterly colors and texture to it. It's so awesome. Even the crypt that they go into has like this red drapery, like all over the architecture. Like, I guess it was a matte painting. I don't know, but it looked great. Yeah, it was really freaking cool.
Yeah.
Every shot was a painting. Like, you could freeze frame this movie at any point, and there's something to look at.
Yeah, we kept sending like Dan, you sent us a bunch of screenshots you took.
Yeah, I couldn't stop screenshotting it. It was beautiful.
Everyone was great. Yeah, but Alucard is a stage 5 clinger. I just wanted to throw that in there. Immediately up in Justine's shit.
My name's Alucarda. Let's die together.
We're best friends and we're gonna die together.
Let's do a blood sister pact.
Well, yeah, well, you know, she chose a good one. So now we're back at the convent. We cut to Father Lazaro teaching about demonic possession and how Satan can use people's bodies to do his misdeeds. While Father Lazaro is talking, Justine passes out. While Father Lazaro is screaming about dying and going to hell.
Whipping the audience into hysterics.
Justine passes out. Yeah.
He perverts their tongues and distorts their lips. Foam instead of words come from their mouths. This is why you must pray. Lead a virtuous life. Place yourselves in the hands of our Lord. We must live within the rules of our religion. The only true religion. Otherwise, the evil one will find a place within our bodies and take our souls away.
In her room, as Justine rests, Alucarda tells her that she heard the voices again, and that they need to make the nuns pay. She then starts screaming the names of Satan and spinning around. She rips off Justine's crucifix and screams, "God can't help me."
Great.
I love this whole scene. And then we get our surprise shopkeeper.
Yeah, because suddenly the hunchback shows up.
Yeah!
As a storm rolls in, as he basically beckons the storm, the girls are stripped down completely naked. Alucarda again is screaming names of Satan, and the hunchback takes the knife from earlier and cuts the breasts of each girl and feeds the other girl's blood to the other girl.
Yeah, he does a little crisscross Swiss watch on their boobies.
Yeah, and he says it's to blend each of them together and also blend into him.
That's how you initiate a three-way.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you guys start blending in with each other, and then when you get comfortable, I'm going to blend in too.
You can just
we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. But he eventually disappears, and Alucarda starts licking the blood from Justine's lips and also her breast, while Justine just screams. Not moving, she's just screaming.
So disturbing. It's great.
So yeah, I mean, I'll comment on this scene. Best scene? Best scene of many movies this year. So yeah, thumbs up.
It was a great scene.
Yeah,
I loved it. It was beautiful to look at. Also very sensual. Also super bloody, and there was a lot of Satan talk. It's all the ingredients that I need. Thank you, Alucarda.
Yeah, Alucarda, when she was bending like backwards, her whole body, and her hair is like real long, was like almost touching her ankles, and her whole back was like distorted, and then all of a sudden it was like jump cut, bloop, no clothes.
Love
it
that.
was cool.
Yeah, but she's also holding the knife just straight up.
Yeah. And she also has must have been like cold out because her bush was ready for the winter.
I didn't know where you were going with the cold out.
It was full.
Yeah.
It was full. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was like getting lost in Australia.
She brought her own pair
of how yeah.
I read this as like a wedding by the devil. Like they basically wed each other through a blood pact, and he was Also, when they
I agree.
That makes sense. I like that.
When they were tasting each other's blood, the rain outside turned to blood, so it was like raining blood, and like it was coming in the window. It's really cool.
Yeah, just like the end of the Evil Dead remake, where it's just raining blood.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, and there's lots of cool symmetry in this scene too. Like the two naked ladies were like, one was on the left, one was on the right, and the devil was directly in the center with the knife pointing up. It was framed so cool. It felt very like ritualistic the way it was filmed. It was awesome.
Well, and I also think that like the rest of the movie is kind of foreshadowed at this point, because Alucarda is just all in. Like, she is loving every second of it, and Justine, I think, feels trapped and is screaming for help. But she has no like will to be able to get past it.
In the church service previous to the scene, when the pastor was screaming something about like the demons will use your organs, it's not even your whole body, they'll choose organs to host their powers and stuff like that. And Alucarda started like flailing and losing control, but then once she said the name of Satan, she like snapped to and was okay. And Justine never had that moment. She was always like, even through this like wedding scene, she was a little dazed and out of it and seemed to be resisting or whatever. But yeah, you're right, Greg. It seems like Alucarda at this point is in. She's locked in. She knows what she wants. And what she wants is that sweet, sweet, sweet devil.
Yeah. She's a goth chick. Of course she's in.
Yeah.
She's Satan horny now.
Well,
can't help it.
She kind of explains herself later in the movie, and honestly, I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of get the motivation.
That's what I wrote that down later on, like her speech to the priest in the confessional, I was
It's
like,
awesome.
I was like, yeah, that checks out. That makes sense. I like
I agree.
her worldview. I'm like, yeah, I understand that motivation.
It's like every time there's like those religious protests or whatever, and the Church of Satan shows up, and you're like, come on, guys, yeah, a bunch of like goth drama kids, like, come on, grow up, whatever. But then they put a microphone in front of their face, and I cannot disagree with anything they have to say ever. Like, yeah, all right, no, that makes sense, that tracks.
Didn't you and Greg go to the Church of Satan in Salem?
Hell yeah.
It was the Satanic Temple,
Oh,
not the Church of Satan.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Satanic Temple. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were up in Salem a couple
Yeah,
years ago.
I got a picture of each of us sitting on Beelzebub's lap.
That's cool.
And I got a shot of Greg on the Satanist throne. He looks like a badass.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. You have to post that. You gotta put that bad
All
boy
right,
out.
well, hey, look at our Instagram this week if I can find it.
I
So
mean, we got an orgy to get to.
Yeah, we moved from my favorite scene to another fantastic scene. So we see Sister Angelica praying for Justine's protection.
Oh, dear Jesus. Give me the strength. Give me the strength, dear Lord.
All the while where it's intercut with a scene of Alucarda and Justine at a satanic ritual where they seemingly become one with Satan.
Oh, Lord, don't abandon me.
Manifest thy spirit, Aaron Rod, Cernunnos, Aaron Rod, Cernunnos.
And are also part of a giant orgy
Yeah.
in the woods.
It was awesome.
Yeah, nice.
It was
Now-
huge vibes from The Witch, the like last scene of The Witch when
Yep.
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy's character gets sucked up into the sky. Absolutely, just like that, and it was awesome. And the huge goat thing? Come on, so badass.
Dude,
Yeah, what's the goat's name? Not from The Witch, but like the devil goat. It has a name.
Baphomet?
Baphomet.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote the witch down. I wrote that this was Black Phillip's uncle,
Oh,
Yeah.
Uncle Philip.
and his name is Gray Charles.
Old
Yeah.
Grey Chuck.
That's great, Gray Charles.
Yeah, Gray Charles was like tickling everybody too in the orgy. Like he didn't get like down and dirty with them. He just kind of walked by and like would touch their
Yeah.
back of their hair and he'd be like,
Yeah.
tickle them a little
Like
bit.
pinch a couple butts as he's going
Yeah,
around.
beep 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 boop boop. Just
Do you
kind
Give
of.
a
need-
little goose.
I like to think that he's a really good, attentive host. Just walks around with a little feather. Do you need some more lube? Do you need some more lube? Would anybody like a bottle of water?
We're here at an orgy. Would you like some corn dogs and some pretzels?
Some room temperature shrimp,
This is-
anybody? I'll just scatter some over here.
Hi, welcome to the Stabby Stabby orgy again.
I don't want anybody passing out.
Oh man.
I liked how it was a goat head, but his hands were like human dude hands. You know, they were like, we're not gonna pay for the hands.
Well,
Well,
I think
mean-
that's what he's like. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
See, I didn't
yeah.
think it was. I thought it was just another like
Yeah.
the head of that satanic order was wearing a goat mask.
Yeah.
Because you could like clearly see human eyes under it. Like it wasn't.
Right.
I
Right.
feel
right.
like if you're, the special effects in this movie weren't bad.
Yeah.
So why cheap out on that?
That's true. I would like it if it was a goat, an actual goat man, instead of
But-
like a mask. But
Listen, we
I think you're-
all want it to be a goat man.
yeah, but I think you're right.
You want to see those square pupils. That's when you know they're evil.
But this part is where I'm confused. So like Sister Angelica is praying for Justine's protection, and suddenly we see that she's levitating and she's covered in blood.
She's sweating and
And-
crying blood like Christ, like
Yeah.
right before Christ.
Well-
what in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? When you sweat
In
blood.
the Garden of Gethsemane.
I'm just saying it's totally an echo to Jesus.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I took it as like it was basically like Luke in Star Wars. She was astral projecting herself to the orgy and like fighting with the lead orgy chick with
Okay.
the big hair, the fortune teller who was hanging out
Yeah.
with Ray Charles. Or no, I
Okay,
mean
so-
hanging out with the hunchback. And so it was like a battle.
Yeah.
And then she invoked the name of God to stop the orgy and stop like, you know, the whole thing. And like a rock or something came and hit the fortune teller's neck and cut her neck open and killed her.
Yep.
And then they
Okay.
cut
Yeah,
back
so-
and she was fucking levitating. The nun was levitating. And I was like, what? So I thought that
Best-
was like the power of God, like coming through her or something.
Best shot of the whole movie was that nun Levin, and she was like illuminated purple against like a dark background. It was gorgeous, just mind blowing to look at.
It was super cool. I love that scene.
What were you gonna say, Greg?
No, it was my question was, did she kill the gypsy with god powers?
Yes,
And
I
I
think
think
so.
yeah, Eric said yes. So
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought that's what happened, but yeah.
Well, we kind of see it happen again at the end, only with the devil powers, which I'm just gonna say it now, seem more effective. The devil powers seem pretty effective. But yeah, this to me it looked like it was just depicting like spiritual warfare, where they're like flirting with the devil and with evil, and she's trying to stop it, but is ultimately unsuccessful.
Yeah.
I mean, successful enough. She killed one of them.
One, yeah, that's true, but not the devil and the girls. Well, I guess we'll find out whether or not they broke away from the devil. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it and say no. No, they didn't.
We'll find out pretty quickly because next day at the convent, Justine, Alucarda, and all the other girls are being taught by one of the nuns, but it's interrupted by Justine and Alucarda chanting for Satan.
Yeah.
Satan, 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 our Lord and Master, I acknowledge thee as my God and Prince. I promise to serve and obey thee as long as I shall live. I renounce the other God and all the saints.
Don't listen to them! Don't listen to them!
Our Lord and Master, I acknowledge.
Go out of the room! Sister Mary, take the children out of the room. Go!
As long as I shall live. Satan, Satan, I promise thee that I will do as much evil as I can. I will draw everyone else to evil. I won't fail to serve and adore thee. I give thee my life and my soul. Satan,
Go and get Mother Superior, quickly! What's wrong with you girls? Alucarda! Alucarda, please, my child! Alucarda!
The nuns are just terrified and get all the other girls out of the room. He's just my favorite parts were like Alucarda and Justine are like just running around the room like giggling, just having fun
like little kids. Yeah.
Yeah. But Justine kind of snaps out of it at one point and says that she can't, like, she basically doesn't remember what happened. She thought she was doing what the nun wanted her to do. But the nun reports what happened to the Mother Superior, who then sends word for Dr. Osick to come and check on them. Because something must be wrong.
That scene when they're... Oh, go ahead, Dan.
No, please, after you.
I was going to say that scene where they're chanting Satan, our Lord and Master... They're talking directly into the camera and like chanting it, like looking in the lens, which I thought was awesome. It was all steady, like a steady cam. And then as soon as they start like teasing the nun, this like cool music kicks in, and then it goes to like a handheld camera, and it's all like fucking jiggly and all over the place. And the lighting behind Alucarda, and this occurs throughout the entire movie. Often you don't see the background; it's just black. Like they just cut, it's all blackness. Like she's seeped in darkness. It's so cool. And they intercut from the real background to her just in this black background. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of reading about I was trying to figure out what it was that this movie was about, and I think it was around this scene that the Mother Superior mentioned something about like today we're going to be reading about Saint Teresa. So that seemed like a little clue, and I went off and started reading about Saint Teresa, who's this woman. It turned out it was a nun in history, and she was famous for she caused a ton of controversy by teaching against like Pauline teaching that women weren't allowed to be teachers, that she didn't like the position that women had in the church. And I wrote down there's a quote. She was described as a quote restless wanderer, disobedient, and stubborn female who, under the title of devotion, invented bad doctrines. Although bad coming from the position of the authority of the church, actually pretty spot on doctrines. Like women deserve a seat at the table. And her legacy was that she helped to create part of the literary canon of Christian mysticism and Christian meditation practices. So introducing like more, esoteric beliefs into Christianity back in the 1500s. They echo back to Teresa and the 1500s, 1520s when Teresa was teaching a lot in this movie. So it feels like there's maybe thematically this is kind of about women and liberation and being like, man, this Christianity kind of sucks if you're one of us.
Oh, totally.
And and all the internal conflict that comes from saying that, I'm sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool, that connection.
So anyway, now they're going to worship the devil. And I love it.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, after all that, we now see that Justine is very sick, and she's also like terrified of the crucifix. When she sees it, she screams and she passes out. Alucarda is taken to confession.
You can cleanse your soul here and now.
Yes, perhaps I have done wrong. I do not lie. I love life. With
Go on.
Justine. She came close to me. I loved Justine. And you call yourself blessed and believe in the heavenly armies and worship death. I worship life. You worship death. I love Justine. You left to kill. You should know. We have made a pact and sealed it with our blood. Justine and I, we are not to be blamed. You are, with a black cover over your strong body. You are ashamed of it. You are afraid of life. Yet you would like to have me, wouldn't you? Well, take me. Take off that filthy robe.
Yep.
Yeah.
She ends up attacking him through the confessional window. Meanwhile, Justine is getting sicker and sicker, and we see the doctor removing leeches from her. So they're doing, bloodletting or whatever it's called. Good times. Good times for both.
Did you guys do confessional? Like, did you go to
No,
confessional?
I've never done it.
No?
Yeah, it's awkward.
It's freaking weird, yeah. So I grew up Christian. I am no longer, or Catholic, Christian. But I had the same thing I would say in the confessional because I freaking hated it. So I just memorized it and would say the same thing each time. So do you want to hear what it is?
Yeah. Confess to us,
yeah.
Eric.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Ooh,
Wait,
give me
Greg,
that
come over
confession.
here. Greg, come with me. Hold on. We're gonna go in this little
all
booth
right.
on this side. All right.
Oh,
here.
God.
All right. Hold on. I'm gonna get on your lap. All right.
Yep. Oh, okay.
All right. You guys are building this up. It's not that good.
Okay.
gotta remember
How long since your last confession?
It's been 3 weeks since my last confession. Oh, it was probably a couple months.
Not too bad.
It's been a couple
Not
months.
Too bad.
Couple
All right.
months.
Bing bong, bing bong.
Bing bong,
Sing
bing
that sin
bong.
song.
Ding. So I said some curse words. I disobeyed my mother and my father, and I fought with my sisters.
Say 12 Hail Marys and bisect the cat.
Yeah. It was two Hail Marys and one Our Father usually.
I've
Yeah.
never had to confess.
Yeah,
Man, it's literally the worst thing in the entire world.
Greg, would you tell them
it's-
real stuff?
No, but
All
just
right,
talking
yeah.
to a priest is uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
What if you leaned into it? What if you're like, I must confess that I've been lusting after my priest, and you just look with the biggest doe
Wink.
eyes.
Wank wank.
He opens that confessional window and he just winks at you. And he whispers, "Me too."
I just like
Listen,
that.
I had 2 or 3 priests for my church that were part of that whole scandal.
Oh, they were child abusers. Awesome. That's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry to
I
hear
was
that.
an altar boy. And I might have said it on the show before. Nothing ever happened to me,
Good,
and I don't know why.
because you weren't
Yeah,
handsome enough, Greg.
As a fat little chubby gullible asshole, they could have. Man,
That's crazy.
They could have had their just. I would have been like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, literally.
Yeah, the principal at my high school was exposed in the whole spotlight type thing. Yeah, so he at his previous parish, he was doing his diddling or whatever he was doing. By the time he got to
kids?
us, he was just fat and drunk. He just smelled like booze all the time. But yeah,
Dude,
he was caught up in that. Yep.
I had one priest that I'm pretty sure was drunk 24 hours a day.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do? Like
I mean,
worship
pray.
God?
You're supposed to be praying.
God is a bottle. Actually, there was a line in that confession scene was unstoppable. It was awesome. Her whole speech was great. But she had this one line where she was like, with a black cover, you cover your body. You're ashamed of it when you should love it. And then she like plunges her hand through the divider and starts attacking him, like grabbing at his clothes and stuff.
Oh, I thought she was grabbing for his ding dong, like she was.
Oh,
trying
was she?
To,
She might have.
I thought she was like tempting him.
Either way, I loved it. Loved
Yeah,
it.
it's
Loved
great.
it.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Eric? I just need you to say, what was it? Two Hail Marys, one Our Father, and bisect a cat.
Plug your butthole.
All right, so now we get a scene with the nuns and Father Lazaro being flagellated. Is that what the word is?
Flagellated.
Where they're being flagellated. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce what I wrote.
That's fine. It's whatever.
The other one is they
Father-
hit you with flags.
You're not patriotic enough. What flag is this? Albania. Oh, he's been studying.
Father Lazaro tells the nuns about previous demonic possession that he's learned about that has occurred over the years. They determine that Justine and Alucarda are both possessed and that they have to take care of it. My favorite line is when Father Lazaro, where he hears about like kind of how Justine is reacting to the world. He goes, "That's a 6th category demon. He hates light."
He's heliophobic, he calls it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Did you notice the blocking of the flagellation scene is the same blocking as the orgy scene? They're arranged in a circle around people in the middle.
With one in the middle.
And then there's instead of the goat guy, there's the dude in robes with the whip. It was such a mirror, and I couldn't help but think about that confession scene where she said, "We worship life, you worship death," where the Satan followers are all having sex, procreating, and the Christ followers are all like pretty much murdering themselves. Yeah.
Dude, I love that.
I don't even know if it's necessarily about like procreation, more so as like enjoying your life and not worrying about what happens when you die. Like,
don't run from your
everything
libido.
Father Lazaro talks about is like, we have to be good Catholics because like you know, when you die you don't want to burn in hell. Whereas Alucard is just like, I'm gonna bang a goat boy because I'm here now.
Get that feather out.
Yeah, after he does that like Marvel movie reveal that it's a 6th category devil, I think that's when he's like, "It's time for an exorcism," and I stood up. I just stood up out of my
and
couch.
He pulls out his sunglasses and pops them on, and you can hear like a guitar riff in the background.
We have to destroy him in order to free the girls. We must prepare an exorcism.
Yeah, there's all that mirroring is all over the place where they mention it. She's like, "Oh, we're like a mirror of each other" in the beginning, but what you just called out, Dan, it's all over this movie. There's also that shot when they reveal the 6th category devil when he's like, when he says we have to prepare for an exorcism. It's a 360 camera shot, so it just starts and it goes to him, and then each nun has like a line, and then it goes back to him again, and he blasts out the exorcism line. One thing I want to mention real quick, sorry, I know we're running a little long, but they were talking about like nuns that became possessed in the past, and they mentioned specifically a group of nuns that became super strong and barked like dogs and predicted the future. And then they just kind of went to another story, and I was like, what? Like, that sounds amazing. I would love to join that church.
Yeah.
Like, just nuns, like, bench pressing, you know, parishioners. They're all buff and, like, arm wrestling each other and pumping iron and barking like dogs. Like, it's fucking amazing.
I want Michael Bay to direct it.
Yeah, it sounds
There
great.
was... I had just heard about one convent where just one day one of the nuns meowed at like another nun.
Yeah.
And then they all just communicated in meows from there on out. And like whatever country it was in literally brought the army in to make them stop meowing.
How are we going to stop this meowing? The army will do it.
Just threaten them with tanks. Like basically they were like their lives were threatened, and then they were like, you will be killed if you don't stop just meowing.
Well, they do you want us to stop meow later? Because you're pointing a gun right at my head. Yeah, no, Greg, they mentioned that. They said that one of their stories in this movie was that a nun sect was turned into cats and could climb trees. So I'm assuming
that's right. Yeah,
I'm assuming they're referencing
Probably
the
the same
same thing that you are. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I love these like little side crazy nun stories. It's also very much like the Devils, like Ken Russell's The Devils.
Yeah, I swear one of the I think the first one that they talk about was Whatever Happened in the Devils.
Oh, nice.
I think, but it's hard. It's hard to say. You got all them sexy nuns out there, doing sexy things.
It's hard.
Can't keep it up. Meowing like cats, barking like dogs, bench pressing their parishioners.
Ridiculous.
They kind of have that now, by the way. In the evangelical world, they have like professional bodybuilder missionaries that go to churches and like lift weights for God. You ever heard about them?
Oh, no shit.
No.
It's fucking hysterical. I highly recommend you look it up on YouTube. Yeah.
Well, that's Righteous Gemstones season 2 as a whole.
Yeah.
Thing
It's all about that. Yeah. That's a real thing. They actually do that. Yeah,
I didn't know it was real. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's real.
Crazy. We're going to offend a lot of people in this episode.
Hey, I hope they don't think it is. You know what? If that offends you, get some thicker skin. I don't know what else to say.
No,
it's silly.
Don't listen
it's
to
silly.
Dan. Don't
it's
listen
silly.
to Dan. If this offends you, go onto your podcast app, rate us
Yeah.
5 stars,
All 5
because
stars,
we only
please.
read 5-star reviews.
Yep.
And tell us that it offends you and what we what we did to offend you, and we'll definitely try not to double up on that next time.
If you're a barking nun or a pedophile priest, you might be offended by this episode.
No, we support the barking nuns.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
That's awesome.
we like the barking nuns. Yeah.
For sure, though.
We do not support the pedophile priests.
There is a current in history of like mass hysteria in these like convent settings where there's just all this repression going on, and I feel like all those stories set us up for the third act of this movie. When that's all that happens, it's just the third act of this movie is just the sound of 90 women wailing while shit sets on fire. So,
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I've
get
never
there.
been more aroused. All right, so later, Alucarda is led into the church where Justine is strapped to a big wooden X, basically a crucifix.
Wait, I just want to mention when he straps her
Right.
to a crucifix, he says to her, "Do not despair, my daughter. We are here to deliver you from evil." Which is a creepy thing to say to somebody as you're strapping them to a cross.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, Alucarda gets the same treatment. Father Lazaro now has Justine stripped completely naked to reveal the mark of the devil, which we never actually see. Alucarda's just screaming, and the one priest punches her to knock her out to silence her, which is, hey, real nice. Nice.
I guess that's one way to do it.
He then starts the exorcism, which includes stabbing Justine over and over in her body with, like, big long needles.
It's like bloodletting, I guess, but a lot of blood.
Yeah, probably too much blood. During this, all the nuns start writhing around on the ground, screaming. Yeah, it's quite a scene.
Again, it's beautiful.
Quite a scene.
It's in that giant church room, and it's fucking gorgeous. It's horrific, and it's gorgeous all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that altar, the church room, like, there's not just one crucifix of Jesus in the background. There's like freaking 60 of them. And they're all over, and he's like super pale, and there's all these candles lit, all white candles all over an altar. Like, it is, just that image alone is scary. You know, it was cool as shit.
Yeah.
And I think the mark of the devil was buried in her bush somewhere. That's what I heard.
That's probably why I couldn't see it, yeah. Yeah, it's like when you get bit by like a deer tick and you can't see the rash, like the bullseye rash, because it's like on your head and you have hair.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, some of us.
Right.
So yeah, a lot happening, but Dr. Osick comes in and puts an end to the exorcism. He's claiming it's barbaric and everything. He finds Justine is dead, and he ends up taking the now unconscious Alucarda with him back to his house.
I think one of the priests tries to stop him and says, "How dare you interrupt our holy ritual?" And he says, "Holy ritual? This is the most shameful thing I've ever witnessed."
This isn't the 15th century. I thought that reason had replaced superstition. This is not an act of faith. This is the most primitive expression of ignorance I have ever seen. You have just killed Justine.
And at that point, I was team doctor all the way. Yeah, they
Yeah,
just
for
killed
about-
a woman
for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that bummed me out. The Doctor's little arc bummed me out because at first it was like, oh yeah, voice of reason, outsider is not caught up in all this. That's great. But then the movie does something to the Doctor.
Well, yeah.
I did want to mention when they took Justine off of the cross and the nun was holding her. It was in that like Madonna and Christ pose. It's called the Pieta, which is like pity or compassion. So it's like that Christian art thing where, Mary holds Jesus after he is removed from the cross. It was exactly like that.
Dude, I have the same note.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's very cool.
I didn't get there yet, but yeah, after the Doctor leaves, they take Justine's body down, and Sister Angelica, she kind of questions God's love because he let this happen to Justine.
Yep.
And kind of puts the blame and the sin on the Mother Superior. So,
hey,
she's
theodicy.
kind of-
Yeah, that's a valid question. Good for you, nun.
So now Justine's body, yes.
Oh, I was gonna say I like how the Doctor is in like vampire hunting garb. He's got like a giant fucking robe with like a big ass collar.
Yeah, he's very Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Best dressed in the movie. That dude was
And we didn't.
I don't know. The Hunchback was pretty good.
We didn't mention the obvious
that's a good point.
Alucard is a Dracula spelled backwards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that it's a Dracula. I don't know why that's funny, because it'd be a vampire, but this is just a Dracula.
Well, I don't know if the
dude,
the
I
A
didn't
is
notice
like
that.
No? Oh yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if the A was like if it was like a Mexican thing. You know how you put like an A on to put like a female. I don't know how. I don't know how Spanish works. I failed out of Spanish class, but I think it might have something to do with it. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, Alucard
cool.
like is oftentimes like the literature kind of name for vampires. Like the vampire's like human name, Alucard.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Today I learned a thing.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I like that and I totally forgot about it. All right, so now Justine's body is laid out in the church. While nuns are praying around her, one of them passes out randomly, and while another nun is praying near her, we see Justine's hand move.
Ooh.
Bum, bum, bum.
We got a Dracula, and we've got a zombie. At the Doctor's house, Alucarda wakes up and is very scared. The Doctor's blind daughter, Daniela, comes in to comfort her while the Doctor leaves to research Satan. We know this because he has a book, and one whole page just says the word Satan on it.
It's the name of the book was Satan. Yeah.
Yeah, he basically just reads one page and he claims that it's rubbish and just like shuts the book.
He's like, this is bullshit. That was one of your screen grabs, Dan. It just said Satan on it. It cracked me up. Yeah, it was awesome.
So now the Doctor is called to the convent, leaving Alucarda alone with Daniela. And we later see that Alucarda is leading Daniela out of the house. Because Alucarda is, a bad girl.
Oh boy, she's a bad influence. You want to leave your
she's going to
Alucarda.
She's taking Daniela to a kegger, and they're gonna do keg stands, and they're gonna flash some boys, and they're all gonna get finger banged in the bush.
they're gonna get mushrooms from Gray Charles. Yeah,
he's gonna get out the feather tickler. Are you ready for the feather?
Are you ladies hydrating?
So now at the convent, they find that Justine's body is missing from the altar, but they find another nun just completely burned to death.
Another echo back to Jesus. There's just the shroud left behind, and they say, she's left her shroud, which seemed like a reference to the Shroud of Turin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Justine. Yeah.
I thought that was an Obi-Wan reference.
I've not seen Obi-Wan. Is Obi-Wan about Jesus?
Well, no.
No, when he gets like disintegrated.
From A New Hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome if Disney just bit off the whole messianic angle to the Star Wars movies and just straight up made an Obi-Wan Kenobi Christ TV show. I would totally watch that.
Oh,
yeah,
that would
Obi
be
Christ
awesome.
Kenobi.
Obi. That's great.
I mean, they're like 50% of the way there with his look. So, you know.
I would love it.
Yeah.
Do it, you cowards.
So yeah, they take that burned up nun to the altar. Father Lazaro goes to the corpse of that burned up nun, and he proceeds to decapitate it with a sword.
It's
all
brutal.
While it's like screaming and like writhing around.
It takes like 5 swings to do it. It was a lot.
Yeah. That was not a sharp sword. Yeah.
No.
But I like that while the head's on the ground, it's still like moving and everything. Like it's pretty cool. And it's at this point that the doctor, he's kind of starting to buy in on this whole possession devil thing.
Yeah, he has a little monologue where he was like, I thought this was ridiculous, but I don't know how to justify what I've seen scientifically. So he's brought over to believing in the religious stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's worms out there that can control, or not worms. What is it? There's some sort of virus or something that can go into ants and control them. Some sort of parasite.
That wasp that goes onto like a slug or something like that, and then
I
pilots them around.
Yeah. You can move a dead head. We'll figure it out.
We probably already can, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably some
Just
lab
get a little
someplace.
robot legs.
Yeah,
by we, do you mean us? Like the three of us are going to figure it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't you guys have
All
a
right. Yeah. All right.
We just need a head. I bet you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a couple of 9-volt batteries and some wires.
That'll work.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah, just find us a head. Eric,
Yes.
Eric,
find us a head.
give Greg head.
I mean, I can get you a toe. I don't know about a head. Definitely get you a toe.
Yeah, all right. That'll do. All right, so they're all convinced that there are other nuns that are now possessed in the church because this burned up nun was possessed, and the doctor now fears for Daniela because he foolishly left her alone with Alucarda. So he runs home, but she's not there, which we already know because we saw Alucarda leading Daniela out of the house. From here, we see the doctor loading up on holy water before he searches for Alucarda.
Oh, I missed that.
That
makes sense.
Yeah, he puts holy water, a crucifix, and a Bible into his medical bag.
Oh, I totally missed that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
They go to the old dilapidated building in the woods where they find Justine's reanimated body in a coffin, now just completely covered in blood.
She's fully nude and drenched in blood, not unlike what was the baby in that talks to her movie?
Baby blood.
Baby blood.
Baby blood. Baby blood. In that opening murder scene when she kills the guy in the grungy apartment, super vibes like that. Yeah. Nude woman screaming, murdering somebody while drenched in blood.
Hey, is it weird that completely naked women covered in blood is kind of
We've got Greg's thing. We found it.
It's not just the one thing. It's just one of many. That this movie, I feel attacked by this movie because it's just like, hey, weirdo, what's up, pervert?
We made this for you.
Yeah, it's not that the movie's judging you. It's that the movie's presenting it as something horrific that you're offended by it. You're like, no, this is good and beautiful.
Yeah. This is a beauty queen right here. So Justine attacks Sister Angelica in the dilapidated building. Angelica prays for God's help, and Justine kind of starts calming down. But the doctor comes in, starts throwing holy water on her.
Screwed it
and
up.
she just starts smoking, and like she's got sores all over her from where the water's hitting her, and which this all eventually reduces her to just a bloody skeleton on the ground.
Yep.
But not before she takes a big old bite out of Sister Angelica's neck.
There's like pumping blood, good gooey like sound effects. It was great.
Yeah.
So she died.
That was a good one.
If she was a vampire, she basically died and was resurrected, right? And then was trying to drink her blood. Right?
I think so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of I never thought of this as a vampire movie.
No, I didn't really either. But at this particular scene, I mean, there's all this like blood ritual going on, so I just think this plays into that. Yeah.
All right, so this is kind of where we're moving into the final scene. So from here, the remaining search party, including the doctor, head back to the convent. because they were like, Alucard's probably hiding in plain sight where we would least expect her, the convent. And when they get there, literally all hell is breaking loose.
Yep.
Watch out!
Actually, literally, all hell is breaking.
Yeah.
Yes. Well done, Greg. Well done.
Alucard she's summoning fire. She's burning nuns and priests. The convent is collapsing. At one point, Daniela falls down the stairs in slow motion. There's chandeliers are falling and people are screaming. Even Jesus on the cross gets lit on fire. It's just chaos across this convent.
So much screaming, so much wailing, so much screaming.
Yeah.
It's super Carrie vibes, but like hyper Satanist Christian Carrie.
There's one scene where
same note.
This is my like
Nice.
Outside of just complete nudity. In this one scene, Alucard is just running down like a hallway where there's like cutouts for like kind of like the rails. And she's running by it. Every time she passes a window, fire just like shoots up from below the window, and it's so cool looking.
I think my favorite shot of this whole action sequence was when one of the priests tries to throw holy water on her repeatedly, and she just summons fire that dissolves the holy water before it can touch her. She does it like 6 times.
And then she sets him on fire.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like it's awesome.
Yeah, whose prayers work now, bitch?
Oh, they show there's a shot that's really cool where they show her pupil and then the flame like reflection in her pupil as she's lighting people on fire. They use it a couple times. There's also just real quick. There's a thing where the doctor goes after his daughter and he has his medical bag and he just like hands it to a priest real quick instead of just like throwing it on the ground or being like fuck this bag. He's like, here, hold my bag, while he goes and like saves his daughter.
I thought you were gonna mention one part where like there's one young girl in like a red dress, and Alucard like comes up to her and she's so scared and she goes against the wall and Alucard sets her on fire and it's just like a split second and then it jumps to like a different shot and you just see her body fly across the frame on fire. It's awesome.
Ridiculous.
Great. It's chaos. It's chaos. It's so good.
It's the constant screaming too that just amplifies everything. Like it's just like 20 people screaming at once. It's nuts.
Yeah. But Father Lazaro starts praying towards Alucarda. Meanwhile, the nuns bring Sister Angelica's body into the back into the convent. They're holding her in a crucified kind of like T-pose position, and I believe her eyes open up.
Yeah, something like that goes on. Yeah.
And Alucarda kind of starts freaking out as everything burns around her. Alucarda, she kind of is swirled in dust and collapses on the ground and ends up disappearing into a pile of dust.
Yeah, she doesn't leave a skeleton or like when Justine died, she left behind that little melted skeleton thing. Like actual flesh and bones were destroyed there, but Alucarda just kind of vanishes like a wisp on the wind, like dust in the wind. And it made me wonder, maybe she was a phantom of some kind? Maybe something like that was going on?
I think it's because she gave herself body and soul to the devil, whereas Justine didn't.
Okay.
I don't think Justine committed to it. Like, Justine got sick from the possession, and Alucarda got stronger.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Know?
Yep.
She just became one with the satanic force at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I liked about this too? I know it's the very ending, but they end with like Jesus just burning on the cross.
Yeah. It's such a badass credit sequence.
It like freeze frames, and they're rolling the credits, and you still hear like crackling over the credits. It was like really unsettling and pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that is the end where we kind of zoom in on the burning crucifix in the darkness. Only light is the fire, and then we cut to credits. So.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Very, very cool imagery right at the end.
What a ride.
You could just call this movie Alucarda, very cool imagery. That's what it was.
So good.
Great job, Greg. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. This is nice. You guys both brought stuff to light that I hadn't considered. I want to go watch this movie again right now, actually, with this conversation in mind. But before we do that, should we stab this? Should we stab this movie? You wanna? I don't know. How are we gonna stab it?
I want to stab it with a knife made from a gypsy's teeth.
All right, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Time for the ratings.
So on Stabby Stabby, we like to rate movies by stabbing them to death. One stab is what we give to very, very bad movies that shouldn't be considered movies and that you should avoid because they're not fun, they're not good, and they're bad. 10 stabs is what we do to our favorite movies because stabbing is something that we do affectionately on this podcast. Greg, how many times would you stab Alucarda?
Ooh, this one is pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and give this 9 stabs. This movie was, like I said, I showed it, I don't know, probably 6-7 years ago, and I didn't remember anything from it outside of a couple scenes. It's really incredibly well done. The story is told very succinctly. I think it's like an hour and 18 minutes or something like that. You got boobs, you got bush, you got murder, you got Satan, you got a lot of blood, you got gypsies.
Check.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I was shocked at how much I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's got everything, and it doesn't leave much on the table. So yeah, 9 stabs for me. Give this one a spin. I think we watched the Mondo Macabro DVD, so I don't think it's out on Blu-ray yet.
No,
so
yeah.
if it is, I will pick it up because it is certainly a beautiful movie. Eric, how about you? How many stabs you giving it?
I gave it a 9 too. Man, I could probably easily go to a 10, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with my 9 because that's what I wrote. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I have so many notes for this goddamn thing. I'm like flipping through my notes. And that just means something like it had an effect on me, you know. I'll just read a couple quick things I didn't get to. Also known as Sisters of Satan, Innocents from Hell, were 2 alternate names, which I thought was interesting. They said it's loosely based off of a Gothic novella from 1872 called Carmilla, which was like an early work of vampire lesbian fiction. I thought that was cool. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it felt almost like a fever dream. Like I was going a little bit mad watching it. It was the hysteria that was just constantly going on. It felt like almost like psychedelic. It was really awesome. It's gorgeous to look at, the Gothic setting. Lots of high-pitched screaming and wailing. What was weird is like it never committed to a particular message, at least in terms of like being anti-religious or anti-science. It always like sort of skirted back and forth. It was like sort of, I don't know. It felt like the ending was like unexplainable by either reason or faith. And to me, it felt like the message was more about like human compassion and love, rather than faith or science, which is weird to say about like a vampire horror movie, nunsploitation movie. But that's what I got. I got like a kind of a positive, message behind all the shit that was going on, and I think it was the relationship between Justine and Alucarda, which I thought was kind of cool and almost innocent underneath all this other crazy shit that was going on. I'm talking a lot, but anyway, the other one last thing I wanted to mention was it reminded me of Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures from 1994, which was like obsessed teenager girls that had this like relationship with each other, and then they sort of broke from reality, and I don't want to spoil it, all this crazy shit happens. Kate Winslet's in it. If you haven't seen it, it's fucking awesome, and it reminded me a lot of this movie. So 9 for me. Loved me some Alucarda. Dan, how about you?
I'm giving this a 9 as well. It's 9 across the board. We all love this movie.
You know what? If you flip 3 9s, you got a 6
Hey!
That's right. Mark of the beast.
Dude, Eric, I had the exact same read at the end of the movie. I wasn't really sure, like I said about the doctor character, I thought he was going to be like the audience surrogate and be this outside observer who isn't on the devil's side or on God's side. He's just like, guys, you're all being crazy, but then he gets sucked into it too. And my ultimate takeaway was pretty much the same thing that you were saying. It's like, lost in all this is just two girls that cared about each other, and they were kind of perverted by all these outside forces.
Totally. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was intense, like genuinely intense by the end of it. It was like the screaming. It was a lot to take in. It wasn't like a fun watch, but I had a lot of fun watching it. It was sacrilegious. It was beautiful. The sets were some of the best sets I think I've ever seen for this podcast. It was just gorgeous. Every single scene, every single setting, we barely even touched on like every time they went off into the woods. It was stunning and beautiful, and it felt like something out of like a Grimm's fairy tale or something. It was just every detail was perfect. Lots of screaming, really, really good gore. Man, it was just a fun watch. I really loved it, and I'm excited to go back and watch it again. And I'm glad I got to talk about it with you guys. So this was good. That's 3 9s for Alucarda. You should go check it out. You know what I would say? If this is a movie that sounds like it'll scratch an itch that you have, I think a great double pairing with this would be first, watch Alucarda, then second, watch Benedetta. I think in that order, these two movies would really work well together. Both of them, like kind of feminist, lesbian messages about empowering women inside of, intensely patriarchal religious settings, and that ultimately end up going a little mad towards the end. Yeah. That'll be a night for me coming up. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, that's a good double feature. Yeah.
So, if you listen this long, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts. We really do appreciate it. What we like to say around here. If you know anybody else that would like to listen to 3 jabronis chat about movies like this, why don't you just pass this along to them? Tell them if they listen, they're beautiful people. They're just lovely and perfect and wonderful. If you would like to learn about the movies that we're going to watch next so that you can watch it for yourself before we spoil the whole goddamn thing. I mean, this whole podcast kind of started as like a book club for horror movies where we would just assign each other movies to watch and chat about them. So if you want to play along, Greg, how can people play along?
Dear listeners, you're going to need to step into my confessional cabinet and tell Father Greg about your sadness.
We'll take my pants off.
Your penance. Your penance will be that you'll have to go over to Instagram and follow us at StabbyPod, StabbyPod, where every Wednesday we will announce the next movie we're watching, which will give you 5 of the Lord's days to find it and watch it before the new episode comes out on Monday mornings. Yeah. So come on over. Join our little Instagram cult of StabbyPod.
Yeah.
You don't post on Sundays, right? You're like Chick-fil-A. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, mostly because I'm hungover on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
And Eric, what do we like to say the exact same way at the end of every single episode of Stabby Stabby?
We like to say, start growing your bush out. Like now.
We do say this every week.
Well, you gotta grow it out. You gotta give it like a year, like a pandemic.
Woof! You gotta braid that shit.
Yeah, get it going good. If you can meet like an old dirty gypsy, we keep saying dirty gypsies. It's probably not the right thing. A dirty hippie hunchback guy. Get a knife from him. Go find yourself a friend. Like meet a friend that day. Confess your love. Make a blood pact with them. Get that dirty hippie back in the room. Take off all your clothes. Bend backwards, like as far as you can go, and make a blood pact with that new friend, and marry them. Just marry them. Cut a little mark above their boob. Suck that. Trade some blood, and then make a pact with the devil. And don't forget to stab yourself. Satan.